If you remember looking at chapter 8, we ended the last few verses talking about God's protection of us. We accept Jesus as our Savior, and He has saved us. We don't need to be nervous, biting our nails. There's no need for anxiety. We can rest. We can relax in that. Now, there's one question that comes up. If a long time ago, 2,000 years ago, you got the letter from Paul, you opened the scroll up, you read that letter, there would be a question that would come to mind. And that question would be how Jesus came to the earth. Why did He die for your sins? Right? But the Jewish people, did they accept Jesus? No. They rejected Him. They cried out, "Crucify Him, crucify Him." The Jewish people rejected Jesus. So then the question that comes up is, God is not keeping His promises? I mean, look at the Jews. They didn't accept Jesus. What's going on here? So Paul himself was a Jew, and he did accept Jesus, but there was the vast majority that did not believe in Him. And still, even today, it's the same situation. If you meet a Jewish individual, a man or a woman, you ask them, "Do you believe in Jesus?" Most frequently, the answer is no. Now, what happened here? Jesus came to them, and they rejected Him. They refused to accept Jesus. Does that mean that God has failed? Brad says the Jews misunderstood. Okay, that's a big question. We're going to discuss it today in chapter 9, and the answer might be surprising to you, like, whoa. Okay, we'll discuss that today. Today we'll be looking at the big picture. The big picture of what? The big picture of chapter 9. There are 33 verses altogether. We're going to be looking at the big picture, and we're going to be discussing that. We'll read through it quickly, and we'll get the big picture of the whole chapter. And then next week, we're going to come back and we'll start over again in verse 1, and we'll analyze the chapter in more detail. Today is just the surface, big picture of the entire chapter. Next week will be a deeper digging into the verses and details. We're going to be talking about what God is doing. What is He doing and why? Who's mad at me? All right. So here's a map. A little bit of a map. Sometimes as you're traveling, you'll open a map and you look, I am here and I am going to be traveling to there. And so you scan the route. Perhaps you do that. Here is our map that we'll be discussing what we're going to be learning today. So if you look, Romans chapter 9, it's a long chapter, verses 1 through 33. And so we're going to look at part 1, 3 different parts to the chapter. Today is part 1, part 2, part 3. First part is Paul is talking about his own pain. Right? He's confessing, he's being vulnerable about his pain. The second part is talking about God's choice. God's choice. If you remember, I told you in the past that long ago God had marked you out. He has chosen you for salvation. And so we'll look at these verses. Next, we see that God picks some people, but he does not choose everyone. Part 3 will examine that there are people who say no.
Okay.
It's very interesting chapter. There are many people who say no to Jesus because of their own pride, their own arrogance, and they won't accept Jesus because of that. Okay?
Okay. No.
So we're going to go ahead and go through that, looking at part 1. Part 1. Paul feels a sadness, a grief, a pain inside of his heart. Okay? So Paul has a very sad heart, very grieved heart. He says, I'm telling you the truth. I am not lying. He says that he has a lot of pain in his heart because of his love for people. Okay? The people are the Jews. Okay? Paul's people are the Jews, and he loves the Jewish people so very much. They are his brothers. He loves them, and this is interesting, Paul says that he wishes that he could receive their punishment so that the Jews could be saved. They refuse to accept Jesus. This means they will die and go to hell. And Paul's like, oh, my heart, I love them. I don't mind taking that punishment. I will go to hell in order for them to be saved. Whoa. Whoa. Are you willing to give up? You know? That's true agape love, right? His love for them was so intense. They were so precious to him. He said he would be willing to go to literal hell for them. That is God's love. So let's look at the actual verse here, verse 3. Paul writes and he says, I wish myself cut off from Christ. Imagine a relationship. You're bound together. Paul has received Christ. There's that relationship. I wish to sever that relationship. For the sake of them, my brothers, my own people. He loved them so much. He's like, I'm not lying. No. This is cross my heart and hope to die. I'm trying to remember the saying. Okay. Cross my heart and hope to die. I'm being honest. I'm not lying. I love them and I'm willing to sever myself from Christ and go to hell for the sake of them. Oh, the problem is that the receiver for the clicker's on the other side of the computer, so it's not receiving a clear signal. All right, let's think for a moment about Israel. God had given Israel so many things. Imagine as you read the Old Testament, you find over and over that God gave great blessings to them. For example, God had made Israel his own people. Okay? God showed them, you are my people. Wow. The respect, the honor that God had given to Israel. That God had also shown them his glory. His glory. You know that God himself is light. Right? And God had shown his glory to them. In addition, he had given them promises. Okay? They had many promises that God had given to them. God had also given them the law, the Ten Commandments. He had given those to them. God gave them all those things. In addition, all of God's big promises would come through them. The big promises through them, talking about Jesus. Jesus would come through the line of Israel, and Jesus was a Jew. Now understand that Jesus himself came and he was born into a Jewish family.
No.
So the big idea, there are many things that we could talk about, but the big idea that we want to focus on God had given them so many things. He had given them the law, he had given them all of these blessings, and they said no. They refused to accept Jesus. And God said, through you will come the Messiah. That Jesus came, and they said, no, not you, not you. So the second part that we want to talk about, part 2, question is we look at verse 6, chapter 9, verse 6. We call that a key verse, a key idea. It's a really important idea in the chapter, just this one verse. And the question is, did God break his promises? So why is he asking that? Israel has rejected Jesus. Did that mean God was the one who failed? He did something wrong? And the answer is emphatically not. God did not fail. So how do we explain what happened with the Jews? They refused to accept Jesus. And why was that? It starts an explanation here. Look at the second point. Not every person who is born Jewish from Jewish blood is really Israel. Now let me try to elaborate and explain. If a person is born a Jew, does that mean they are automatically saved? No. Maybe it's a wicked person who hates God. They're not saved, and they are not a true Jewish person. They are not truly of Israel. If they're saved, yes. If their blood may be Jewish blood, but if they don't belong to God, they're not truly Israel. Now, there's another person who accepts Jesus, but they don't have Jewish blood. Are they truly Israel? Yes. Because you are born a Jew does not mean you are truly of Israel. A true Jew belongs to God. An example would be Abraham. Abraham was a true Jew. He believed in God. He had faith and he believed. And he was a genuine.
Technically, okay. No.
He was genuinely of Israel.
No.
Let's look at the third point. Being born Jewish does not make you God's child. Some people think, oh, I was born a Jew, therefore I'm going to heaven. It's not how that works.
My kid,
My children, my kids, I think that they have trusted in Christ. I think they have accepted Jesus, but let's say one of them has not. Okay? If I say, well, my parents were saved, that means I am saved too. That's not how it works. Each individual must make the decision to accept Christ for themselves. If a person is born in a Jewish family, they can't claim automatic salvation. No one is automatically saved. No one.
No.
So the last point here is interesting. God's promise goes to the group that God picked. It's not an issue of birth.
We
will discuss that further. There's something wrong with the clicker, so I have another one at home. This one might not be any good anymore. All right, we want to look at three different stories, three different examples to explain what I mean. The first story that I want to share is, if you remember Abraham. Abraham had two sons. He had Isaac, and he had another by the name of Ishmael. So Ishmael started about 800 AD. So now let me explain. God has chosen, God picked. God had picked you, those of you who are saved. If you look way back to the beginning of the world, God had chosen you. Now, Abraham had these two boys. Both were, the older was Ishmael, and the younger one was Isaac. Now, God chose one of those two boys. He chose Isaac. He rejected Ishmael, and he chose Isaac. So far, so good? God looked between the two. God chose Isaac. So you ask me, why did God do that? Well, it was in accordance to his plan. Before the creation of the world, God had a plan. Now, it was God's decision. The Messiah would come through Ishmael or Isaac. Which one? And God chose Isaac. God chose Isaac. Now, both of them were Abraham's sons. Now, why did God pick Isaac and not pick Ishmael? God had made a promise that, and it was his pick. It was his choice. Let me give you an idea about God. God is the boss. He is a big boss. I am not the boss. Right? Sometimes we think we're proving stuff. Well, I get to decide. No. To God, I am very insignificant. I am like an ant. God could very easily squash me out and I'd be gone. I am nothing. It is God who is big. It is God who decides. It is God who chooses, and God chose Isaac.
God don't care.
God doesn't care about who was born first. God doesn't care about that. God looks and God makes a choice. Same with David. Yeah. And also the same with you and you, right? Okay. It applies to us as well, those of us who are saved.
I told you chapter
I
9.
told you chapter 9 is a little bit insane. It's a little bit wild. Okay, it's a deep Bible doctrine. And we're not talking surface information. Okay, so talking about God, He is the big boss. He is above all. I am small and insignificant, and I cannot boss Him around. He is there. He is making decisions about what to do, and what He decides is the way it goes. Whoa. Okay. It's a little bit surprising. This is what the Bible is saying. So I'm going to let you go ahead and read this verse. Looking at Romans chapter 9, verse 8. And this means that the children of the flesh, talking about the Jewish children, the Jews are not,
No.
Oh, I said that wrong. Let me back up. I'm preaching false doctrine here. Okay. This means that the children of flesh are not God's children. Ishmael, he is not, but Isaac is. So the promise, it's not about the blood. So the second illustration, the second story I want to give you is, if you remember, there was Jacob and Esau. Interesting. So Isaac had two boys of his own.
Okay.
And if you remember, his wife became pregnant and she had twins. She had twins inside. She gave birth to these two boys. Now, the oldest one was Esau. The younger one was Jacob. You know what's going on here? God says no to Esau. God chooses Jacob. The firstborn should get the right, but God rejected him because God's decision was to choose Jacob.
Okay,
Now, sometimes you might be thinking, you might be wondering, God looks way into the future and He knows who's going to accept Him and who will not. No, that's not what the point is here. We see that it was before they were even born. God made a decision. God chose Jacob before their birth. I'm losing my mind here. All right. So God says the older will be the one to serve the younger son. This was a decision that God made. Now, before they did anything, you can't say, well, we'll wait and see how they turn out. How does he live? What does he do? No, before that even happened, before they were born, God had chosen Jacob. God had chose Jacob. Why? Because it was His plan. He had already made a plan. He had already worked it together. So God's pick is about His plan. It's not about what we're doing, what we're going to do. So the big idea for us to hold on to is that it is God who picks. It's not because of what we do. Now, let me go off point just a moment. God chose me a long time ago, before the creation of the world. God chose me. He chose me, Brad. Now, do I feel pretty good about myself for that? That's right. That's right. He chose me because I am something special. No. God chose me before I had done anything. Now, why had God chose me? Because it fit his plan. It's not about me, it's about God's plan. Okay? God's choosing is for his own plan and in love. Now, some people say, oh, wait a minute. God chooses some, he doesn't choose others. He's not fair. Oh, wait a minute. You can't say that. He's big boss, remember? I cannot rebuke him. I cannot criticize him. Tell him he's wrong. He's the big boss. He does whatever he wants. Okay? Wow. So the question is God wrong? Never. You see in verse 14, is God wrong? Never. Now God told Moses, you feel you're missing information. We're going to come back and we're going to fill in all these details. Okay, this is just a huge, big picture. It's just to give a foundation, and next week we'll go through and we'll add the details. So hang in there with me. God says to Moses, I will show love to those I love. Ooh. God makes a decision. I choose to love that one and that one and that one. He's the boss, not me. Now understand, love and mercy, those two things are not things that we can earn. Oh, I'm a good boy. God will give me some love. God will give me some mercy. No. Okay. Now, why is that? Why did God choose me before the foundation of the world? Why did God look forward and see you different individuals? Is it because you were good? No. We did not earn his love. We did not earn his mercy. Being saved doesn't come from what we want or what we do. Sometimes people will share a testimony and they'll say, well, I believe in Jesus and I became saved. Oh, okay. You were saved because of him. Does that make sense? Well, I'm pretty smart. I heard the gospel. I thought about it. I made a decision. No, it's about him. You become aware, but then you see God start to draw you. God draws you to himself. Sometimes God is deeper than you think. We cannot comprehend who he is. We can't even imagine who he is. Looking at verse 9, God begins to show who he is. Our salvation comes from God's love. So we'll go ahead and read verse 15 here. go ahead and read verse 16 as well. Maybe you're feeling like, oh, it's too much information. I want to encourage you to just hang on. We're going to come back. We're going to look at the details. This is the big picture.
Okay.
This is the big idea of the entire chapter. So it does not depend on the one who wants. Oh, could you back up to verse 15? There we go. God tells Moses, he says, I will show mercy to whom I will show mercy. I will show compassion or love I will show compassion to the one whom I will show compassion and love to. This is his business. Right? Who I want, that's who I'm going to show it to.
Okay.
Right? Understand this point down here at the bottom. There's a couple sentences. God is not a machine. He's not like a big old robot. He is the king.
Right.
And he gives love.
Okay.
You can try to conclude it in the next 5 minutes. There's the third story that I want to share. It's the story of Pharaoh. You know, Moses went to Egypt and he told Pharaoh, let God's people go.
Okay.
Right? You may know the story. We'll review it again later. But if you remember that Pharaoh was quite stubborn. One point that is made is that God made Pharaoh's heart become stubborn. And we'll discuss that more. God causes Pharaoh to become stubborn. Wait a minute. You're not fair. No, we cannot make that accusation.
Okay. Now,
looking at verses 19 through 21, how many of you in the past have worked with pottery, like made a clay pot, where you have you shape it and you spin it? So you know what I'm talking about. With clay, you put a lump of clay and then you spin it and you add water and then you shape the base or the pot and it grows. And then you put it into the oven until it's dry. Okay, so it says here that God, he is the potter. A person who makes a vase or a pot. We are the clay. Now, he has the right to shape us into what he wants. That's an interesting point. So God is like the potter, shaping the person into what he wants. God can shape each individual into whatever he wants. He's the boss. He's the king. Now, people protest, right? They go, no, you are wrong. Now, wait a minute. Who do you think you are, oh man, to criticize God? It's not fair. You're not. Now, wait a minute. You're criticizing God? You're chewing God out? God is there in heaven. You better keep your mouth shut. He's the boss. Okay?
different than what
It's
we
different
think.
than what we think, that God is like a big old grandpa up there in the clouds and whatever I want, he gives it to me. No. He's the boss. He's the king. He's the ruler over everything.
Okay.
Says, who are you to complain to God? Why did you make me like that? Why did you do that? No. Keep your words very few. Keep your mouth closed. Okay? The point is humility. He is God. We are not.
Okay.
Okay, I'm running out of time rapidly here. There's two kinds of pots that can be shaped, two different kinds. And God is patient. He is patient with people who are going to hell. God shows his power and his patience to them, to those who are going to hell. And God does this so that people can see how great he is. Here's a good thing here. Okay, God calls both Jews and non-Jews. Jews are saved and Gentiles are saved as well. And the point is that anyone can be saved. The Old Testament, if you read through the Old Testament, going through the different books, you will find that this was God's plan to save the Gentiles as well. God chose Israel, absolutely. God has a plan for them, and God chose the Gentiles as well. That's who we are. We are the Gentiles. I don't think there's anyone here that has a Jewish lineage. Does anyone here have Jewish blood?
No.
All right. It's interesting in the book of Isaiah, God says that there will be a small group of Israel that will be saved. Small. God has already in the Old Testament, he had already said that there would be just a few saved. Notice God never promised that he would be saving all of the Jews because they were simply born Jewish. God saved the Jews because of their faith. If they trusted in themselves and because of their Jewish background, they were not saved. They were trying to be saved the wrong way. The big idea here is that God's plan always included both the Jews and the Gentiles both. It's no surprise. We see this in the Old Testament. It's already revealed there. On part 3, people say yes or people say no. I'm out of time, so I just want to review this really quickly. Something surprising happened. The non-Jewish people were not looking for God. They weren't really looking for him. They didn't care about him. They were worshiping idols or worshiping nothing at all. It would be us, right? But God had chosen them, you. And God drew that person to himself. He saved them. He grabbed hold of the next person and saved them. Grabbed hold of me and saved him. Okay?
But
Israel, just a few of them were saved. Why? Because they were working at following the law. And they missed They misunderstood.
They saw Jesus.
So they saw Jesus and they rejected Jesus.
Tripped.
They tripped. They tripped over Jesus, and we'll talk about this. God says that in Zion there is a stone, and people trip and fall over it. That stone is Jesus, and some people trip. Some people trust, and they're saved. The Jews tried to earn their salvation by following the law, by doing those things, by going to the temple, and it didn't work. I'm going to go ahead and stop here. We really want to respect the dining room and their time. So I want to give you chapter 9 is talking about God as the boss, period. God is the big boss. Chapter 10 is going to be about how man is responsible for rejecting God. Both are true. God is a boss. God has chosen, but people are also responsible